Name is Martha Alter Hines, and I am here with Kaylin Castell. And we are very, very, very happy, very excited, feeling very called to be holding space today to talk about Sirius, the magic of Sirius, and many other things. We're recording this on Sunday, June 8th, and tomorrow Jupiter is going to be entering Cancer. And so part of, I think, what's calling us is probably this Jupiter dance that's about to that we're about to embark on all together with Jupiter going through Cancer and then retrograde in Cancer and back and forth in relationship with the part of the sky where Sirius is. The sun also is heading into that. Our dance, sorry, we are heading around the sun to the part of our dance around the sun where Sirius is behind the sun. Mercury is also today entering Cancer and going to be in a dance with Sirius, and so many other things. So, yeah, so we're feeling very, very called about and very inspired about Sirius. We're going to, I think, bring in some things about dolphins and ocean magic and DNA codes and I don't know, whatever else we're meant to be bringing in here, but I already know it's going to be amazing. So, yay.
Yay, I'm so excited, Martha, to do this with you. And just as a reminder to everyone who maybe doesn't know or just doesn't remember, because it was way back in March. I was like a few eons ago, right? Martha and I we hosted a free summit and I think people can still get access to it.
Oh,
Uh, we'll put a link in the show notes if you haven't checked it out. It was amazing. And that, and actually somebody, I think, did we talk? I don't know. Somebody might have talked about Jupiter and Sirius and Cancer and all of that. But maybe it was more focused on the equinox. Anyway, this year, 2025, is off the charts transformative.
mhm.
It is so, so amazing. And this whole Jupiter with Sirius this happening is also off the charts transformative. And the fact that Mercury's going into Cancer as Jupiter is like a few hours later going into Cancer, they're like hanging out very close together. So we have the messenger with Jupiter, who's the visionary, expanding our vision of possibilities and what can happen. uh, and if we think about expansion, Jupiter expands. It's not always good because if we're in a very contracted, miserable place, that can get expanded. So hopefully we're in a more joyful, happy place, and that gets expanded. And also that we offer or we re recognize that it's our opportunity to really come from a more expansive view of what's going on, that this is happening for us, not to us, even though sometimes it kind of feels very messy and challenging and all of that. But we have such an opportunity this whole entire year to change everything. And a lot of it through the power of love. And that was what the whole summit was about, the being superconductors of love, rebirthing ourselves into wholeness. And I feel like wholeness is what it's all about. And love is what it's all about. And coming into wholeness through love, wow. And interestingly, the star Sirius is considered the star that has to do with love, that we follow our hearts. It's like it's encouraging us to follow our hearts and to follow the path of love. And we'll talk more about that. But um, interestingly, there's going to be a Venus-Jupiter conjunction in August with Sirius, pretty exact, the only time in 100 years. And it's at the heart chakra gate of the Venus cycle.
I didn't know that part. What?
Yes. Like, could the message be more clear?
And for everybody, that conjunction is happening August 11th, 2025. Yeah, I mean, I can't, it's so beyond words. Yeah, Jupiter with Venus, with Sirius, and now you're also bringing in the fact that it's going to be at the heart chakra gate, the Venus heart chakra gate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
That
wow.
will just happen like just prior to that exact conjunction. It'll be getting ready to go into the solar plexus gate, but it's still in the heart chakra gate at the time of the conjunction. Also, Jupiter and Venus will conjunct in Cancer almost every 12 years. Pretty much, sometimes, but usually like early degrees or late degrees, uh, sometimes kind of towards the mid degrees. This is the only time in the all the years that I looked up, about 100 years, that it's so precise with Sirius. The
Wow.
only time Venus and Jupiter are coming together at 14 degrees Cancer within minutes of being precisely with Sirius.
Wow.
Like, could the message be more clear? And at the heart chakra gate, and Sirius is the star about following your heart. And
Well, and yeah, I was saying before we start, we've already had a 2 hour conversation before pressing
so fun,
record.
so
Like
fun.
that is how into this we are, and how much we love talking with each other. So yeah, you get the spillover of our enthusiasm and excitement. Um, but one of the many things I was saying before we started recording is that it's in the last 4 or 5 days, all of a sudden, I mean, truly, all of a sudden, I have started having this sense, not even a sense, it's almost been palpable, this experience of Sirian light beings being right here, like super present for me. And I channel star light and star beings, and that's part of what I do. Okay. But this has been the most almost yeah, visceral, palpable, like so powerfully strong. And I was listening yesterday to the wonderful the wonderful class that you did with Eric Roth, in your Stellar Triangles class that I'm taking, where you're talking about Sirius, and you were mentioning that Sirius has a 70-day period where the sun is technically conjunct Sirius around July 5th, 6th, but there's on, I guess, either side of that, probably a 35-day period leading up to it. And then after that, when Sirius becomes invisible to us because it's with the sun or behind the sun. So it clicked for me. Oh, wow. Probably right about the time that I was starting to have this really powerful presence of the Sirian beings. That's probably right at the beginning of that 70-day period. And I went, ah, what in the world? Yeah, and so there's so much that, I can share about what has been coming through for me from these beings, but the bottom line is what it's really feeling like is that the Sirian presence and the Pleiadian presence, because we also have now Uranus coming right into the part of the sky with the Pleiades at the same time that all of this is going on with Sirius, right? So it feels to me so, so strongly, so powerfully that both of them are trying to work together or something with us, um, in this moment, this powerfully changing moment of this 2025 into 2026. So yeah, there's so much there, but there's
Oh,
the sacred loop and the
this
this
is
and
so good.
yeah.
This is so good. So when Jupiter is, and Mercury and Jupiter are entering Cancer, the zero Cancer point is the June solstice point. The signs are seasonal. It means we in the northern hemisphere are having the longest day and the shortest night, because the sun is tracking high across the sky, so it's in the sky longer. In the southern hemisphere, it's tracking low across the sky, even though it's tracking north. Their north is opposite of of what we experience. So they're having shorter days and longer nights in the southern hemisphere, but it's also in a place in the sky, the center point of the sacred hoop of stars, that the Lakota people and other Native American cultures really saw this as a hoop of stars in the sky. The Pleiades is where the planets enter the sacred hoop. So Uranus is entering the sacred hoop, and it's been 83 years since the last time it entered the sacred hoop. Jupiter and Mercury are at the center of the sacred hoop, and they'll continue to move like on through the twins and that the whole thing. And then we'll have the June solstice and the sun and Jupiter conjunction and all this Cancerian energy that's being highlighted and illuminated. But Sirius is on the outer ring of the sacred hoop, as is the Pleiades. Castor and Pollux, Procyon or Procyon, Auriga, Rigel. These are all stars within the sacred hoop that represent the outer hoop of this. And then Orion's inside the sacred hoop, and the bull and the twins are most of the stars are inside the sacred hoop. And it's the sacred hoop when we all come back together and all people, we bring the gifts that we all have to bring. And we don't see that our gift is more important or less important than anybody else's, that they're all equally important and valued. And this is the opportunity we have. And if we think about Jupiter and Cancer, expanding the Cancer mysteries, how are we creating safe space for us to be who we are? How are we creating safe space for everyone to be who they truly are, genuinely are, from a heartfelt place? That it's safe, that we can have these communities and safety and all of that. So I don't want to jump into the dolphin thing necessarily right now, but unless you feel like it's time,
So
Martha.
we have so many thoughts that want to get expressed all at the same time. Yes. No, follow
Oh,
your.
oh, dolphin thing now. Okay. So, so interestingly, I was telling Martha that I was having this whole thing about how dolphins are so much representative of the Cancerian mysteries. They really represent the essence of healthy cancer because they are in pods or families or tribes and they work together and they support one another and they protect each other and they help each other out if they're injured or sick or any of those challenges and no one dolphin is the leader. There's no hierarchy. They all take turns. Of course, the little ones, maybe not, but in the pod, whatever that's about. But and they pass on their wisdom to the children, the baby dolphins. It's like it gets passed through the generations. It's honored and respected, and dolphins respect their parents. Interesting, and love and connect with their parents throughout their whole life, as long as the parents are around. So it's like we need this is something that we could imagine we are doing in our world. How are we creating this in our world where it's safe to be who we are, where it's safe for everyone to show up, where and we can and also the other thing about dolphins is they love to play. So
Well,
it's like family play, fun kind of thing. It doesn't have to be serious. Oh,
serious.
unless it's with serious, and then maybe it's a little
Oh,
serious.
no. No, but what's so funny and interesting, I was also saying this before we started recording, is that this morning I was doing my praying and I knew we were going to be doing this conversation together. And so what my guides told me was, um, talk with Kaylin in the video about, Jupiter with Sirius, etc. But also make sure you bring in the wisdom and the magic of ocean beings, including the dolphins and the whales and their relationship to Sirius, to starlight and all of it, right? And then you also brought up to me wanting to bring in the dolphins. And I went, okay, here we go. It's like it all fits.
And I,
Yes.
I did find that there are those who feel that the dolphin song, they're constantly singing their songs and making their sounds, and that it is the frequency of Sirius, and that the dolphins are very connected to Sirius. They represent the frequency of Sirius. And so not only cancer, being that they have a healthy family structure and way of being with each other, but they also have that powerful connection to Sirius.
Yeah. I feel it. I see it. I mean, I'm shown that. And so one of the I think it's like too many thoughts going at the same time, but just to bring it back to what's been coming through for me when these Syrian beings have been so present, one of the major components of what they're trying to share, I think, um, is what I keep experiencing as their relationship to holding space for our DNA, the light codes of our DNA to continually evolve as they're meant to, right? In the highest, highest, highest expression of what they are. So a year ago, I did a video that's on my YouTube channel free where I channeled the Sirian energy for the first time. And I didn't know a whole lot about Sirius at that time, but what came through when I channeled was an experience of us being guided to continually evolve and like hold space for the light codes of our DNA to continually evolve. Just like what the way the metaphor actually that was channeled in that was they equated it to breast milk. So, like, for example, when, for those of us who have been mothers, we know that first what comes in is the colostrum. So this every stage of the baby's development, the breast milk changes to perfectly match the needs of our specific baby. So what was coming through in this channeling a year ago from the Sirian beings was that our DNA has a similar need. It's like instead of getting stuck and fixated in this idea that our DNA is this particular number of chromosomes with this particular structure and that is the way it is, they said it, yes, and it needs to be held in this ability to continually change and grow and evolve in every single moment, just like the milk of a mother for a baby, right? Which is so Cancerian. And obviously, um, anyway, and then every time since then that I've channeled or been really present with Sirian energy, this connection between Sirius and the DNA structure and the light codes of DNA keeps on persisting. And side note, but then I just recently connected with somebody named Dr. John Ryan, who happens to be a physician, who happens to also have been, his work has very much to do with this messages he has gotten from Sirian beings about our evolution of our DNA. And I'm going to be having a conversation with him in a couple of weeks. But I was like, whoa, 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 what? So anyway, so for me, when you bring in the dolphin energy and their connection with Sirius, part of what I just intuitively, instinctively feel with that is maybe part of what they do for us is they help to bring in this lightness, right? In the play and the joy, and how when we're in lightness and play and joy, we open up and we can continually evolve. We don't get stuck in like I would love to hear what your perspective is on maybe the older paradigm of what Cancer and Capricorn energy can be, right? Maybe more of a stuckness, and like we need to be that we get stuck in our concept of what ancestry is, as opposed to continually opening. Anyway, that was a lot. You share
So
anything there?
good. So,
Yeah.
so good. I just want to say that I was introduced to the idea that the Syrians were the ones who came and programmed the DNA in humans
Yes.
way back in the beginning of time. And I think there's actually ancestral stories from the Dogon and other people who speak to that, and that they programmed in the planets and the stars in our DNA, and that is it's there, but it hasn't always been easily available, or we forgot, or whatever's been happening is that maybe we're coming back into a time when we can really access that. And I think Jupiter with Sirius, Venus with Jupiter and Sirius, and all that's happening is so powerful in expanding the possibility that's already there in us.
Mm.
Just need to tune in and be open, and invite those energies to really become enlivened within us. It's so exciting.
Yeah, really.
And then
Really.
the whole thing about the Cancer Capricorn hierarchical perspective in the patriarchal culture, the hierarchy has been um, it's like dominating a dominator. Like, I know, and you need to do what I tell you to do because I know the answers. Whether that's the people who are supposedly running governments, or I don't know, kingdoms, or whatever it might be, whatever that's about. And there's sort of I know and you should do what I tell you to do hierarchy. That just doesn't work, and it doesn't necessarily feel safe. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, I will punish you. And I know that I was raised that way. It's like if I didn't do what my parents said, I got punished. It was not fun. And I promised myself as a child, I've said this many times before, but I promised myself I would not do that to my children. And so I did not raise them as a hierarchy. And I love that the dolphins don't have a hierarchy in how they're doing their community and they raise their offspring. It's like, so how can we start to incorporate that into what we're doing and come more from a place of heart and more from a place of kindness and caring and support? And yes, we need to have boundaries. And yes, we don't want to let children run wild and rampant. They need to have manners. I was very big on manners, but I didn't punish them. I just encouraged them. I would say things like, if you want your friends to invite you back, their parents to invite you back to their house, you need to have good manners because when kids would come over and they have bad manners, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want those kids back.
Yeah.
They really got that. It was like you put it in a way that they can get it, and then they don't feel like they're being told what to do, but they're being encouraged how to be good humans. And that's our opportunity, I think, at this time is to do that. And so I feel like it's really about coming into a different way of it's not about hierarchy anymore. I think it's really about you know, yes, the parents maybe know, the teacher maybe knows somebody who's the guru or whatever it might be, and it might know something more. But if they are really coming from a place of, I'm just sharing with you what I know, and you might be wise to follow that, but you also maybe need to find your own path.
And that I'm just thinking about like my own kids, right? That yes, there are certain things that I do know. Even though you're 18 and 13 and you think
Right.
you know things, yeah, guess what? Guess what? I've been there, done that.
That's not okay.
Yeah. And at the same time, um, and I think about their own beings as these light code beings of DNA, right? They came into this lifetime with certain wisdom that I just do not have. Like clearly, right? We know that, right? About every single being who's born is like, especially these kids are showing up as like, wow, who are you and what is this? So it's like this balance of holding all of it at the same time. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And that if we could create societies that it's not necessarily about somebody being in charge or a lot of people being in charge in a certain way, and especially if they don't have the better interests of everybody in mind, they're only into it for their own self-interest, and that creates a lot of harm to a lot of people. That isn't what it's supposed to be. That's not how it was designed. And I think that the dolphins remind us of that. It's not how it was designed. It's what it's devolved into for now until we can change that. And I think there's a lot of people that are waking up and recognizing that it's about coming from the heart. And when we come from the heart, that's what Sirius is reminding us, come from the heart. And from the power of love can change everything. So
Yeah.
and
Well,
Jupiter's here to expand all that. So this is the time. Never has there been a better time. And literally, as I said, Jupiter and Venus together, Venus at the heart chakra. So I don't even know where Venus was in her cycles because I didn't go back and look when she conjuncted Jupiter, but not even close to Sirius, like at 2 degrees or at 5 degrees or at 25 degrees, or it's not 14 degrees exact like it is right now. Also at the heart chakra gate, it's all about how are we letting go of the things that prevent us from really living from our heart?
mhm.
And
Beautiful.
then really cultivating that heart, knowing that heart energy, that heart way of the heart. They now know that the heart has its own brain and it's far more powerful than our actual brain. So it's kind of fun that that's something that also is in our awareness as we come into this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I keep thinking about the sacred hoop, and like it feels like there's one more layer maybe that you would want to share about that, because you were sharing some things before we started recording that were amazing. And I don't know if you want to bring some more in about like the multiple hoops and the dance. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes. So uh, I don't know if it's as big because I haven't paid attention, but there was a native woman who created something called the dance to mend the sacred hoop. And the idea is that the hoop is broken, and we haven't really honored the sacred hoop of life, and that everybody has something to offer to the sacred hoop, to the, it's like we need all the perspectives of the hoop. Like everybody has a place to bring their wisdom, their knowledge, their insight, their gift to the sacred hoop, and that we all benefit from that, and it's not more important or less important than anyone else. And so, how do we mend that? How do we bring that back together? And I was sharing a thing from Black Elk. I'm like super into this right now. Um, and let me see if I can find there's a quote, but it's basically he had a vision when he was when he was 9 years old. He had a near-death experience, and he had a vision of the sacred hoop and all peoples and all nations coming back together to be healed. And that then later there was the massacre at Wounded Knee, and that happened in 1890. And his vision, he saw that the sacred hoop was bringing all people and all nations back into harmony with each other. So we're not all the same. We all have our differences, and that's okay as long as we're not trying to dominate and control other people and make them do what we want. And that Wounded Knee happened in 1890. So 7 generations from Wounded Knee that we would all come back into this harmony. And that would be 2030. Pretty amazing. Now, Black Elk was born in 1863 and he died in 1950. And there's a book that somebody helped him write called Black Elk Speaks. And this is a quote from that. And it says, "And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight. And in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father, and I saw that it was holy." But the part of it that really speaks to me is that there one of many hoops that would make one circle. So how are we bringing back all of these sacred, and this is all happening inside the sacred hoop of stars. The Lakota saw the sacred hoop of stars, and whenever planets were in the sacred hoop, they thought that was significant and worth paying attention to. So here we have the June solstice will be at the center of the sacred hoop, Jupiter having just crossed that point, Mercury having just crossed that point, and Uranus just entering into the sacred hoop. So the sacred hoop is lit up right now. So powerful.
Yeah. And another thing that was coming through for me, so I have, we each have our own ways that stuff suddenly downloads or whatever. So my two typical, well, I have three typical ways. One is when I'm lying and actually praying. The other one is when I'm cleaning. For whatever reason, I've very a lot of Virgo energy, and my Mars is in Aquarius in my sixth house, so it's like I don't know, something about cleaning. It's very something. And then the other way that it comes in often is when I am in the gym room on the elliptical machine and going really fast and like and then all of a sudden things will just go you know sometimes. So that yesterday I was doing that, and I had the room to myself, and so I was singing. Actually, I was listening to this particular kind of music I listen to when I'm exercising. I was singing and I was connecting right in. It was like the Sirian light came right in through the top of my head into to my body and down all the way down into the center of Earth. And the light of the center of Gaia just lit up, and it was like the Syrian light connecting straight in with her, right? Because of course, Gaia would have powerful connection and relationship with all of everything in the cosmos because she's a being of the cosmos. Um, but it was something, I'm curious if you have any thoughts about this. What I was feeling in that moment was also this powerful role of Syrian light. What the words I heard at the time were, um, we're bringing time back together. So it's like we've been in this time of forgetting or this illusion of separation, and it was something about the role of the light of Sirius, both to bring us back into this higher way of being with our DNA, etc., but also something about the connection of like the Syrian light maybe coming through the portal of our own star called, our sun to Earth. Um, and I could just feel it like literally trying to bring back together this illusion of separation into the reality of wholeness. I don't know if this makes any sense, but it was so strong in the moment.
Well,
Um,
I love what you're saying because I think this is a reminder to all of us that we can get our own insights and information.
mhm,
It's,
mhm.
it's like what we're saying is it's time to tune in and time to start opening to receive what is the information, how are we being informed by what's happening?
Yeah,
How is this coming into our form? How are we informing what's happening? And how are we then embodying these mysteries in a new way? Because the old ways, not working,
no, no, it's not.
not working.
No, it's not.
So when we can begin to do that, and I feel like in my life I do that a lot, and um I feel like I get to live a pretty joyful life
Mm,
most of the time.
mhm.
And I'm happier than I've ever been, and life is continually gets better, and a lot of that has to do with intention and attention. And it took a while because I had a pretty miserable life many times. And I was like, could I just leave now? Could you just like take me out, strike me with lightning, hit me with a truck, do something? Like, this is not what I want to do. And so glad that didn't happen,
Yes, me too. Very glad that did not happen. My goodness.
even though I was begging for it.
Mhm.
But it is up to us and to create that more direct connection. And even though we can't see Sirius right now, she is with the sun.
Yeah.
And this was the time when the Egyptians did their funeral rites. 70 days of funeral rites because Sirius was with the sun for 70 days. Exact, as you were saying, July 5th this year, July 6th, I think next year, but right around in that time frame. July 4th, when the United States was founded, and they purposely tapped into that because it's like the sun, Sirius is like a sun and our sun is the sun for our planet. It's like, and so there's like a direct transmission that can happen through the sun. The sun is a doorway, it acts as a doorway for Earth. And so this is the time to be tuning in, even though we can't see Sirius right now and won't be able to see Sirius until August. And depending on what latitude, I'll put a link to an article that I wrote about this with the different latitudes and when Sirius is technically becomes visible because depending on your horizon line, if you have mountains, you might not see her as soon as you would, and if you have a flat horizon line. Also, there might be clouds, and but August 11th, you'll probably be able to see Jupiter and Venus, even if you can't see Sirius, because Sirius will be below them. So they'll be up here and they'll be below them. So if you can't see Sirius, you can know that they are transmitting directly from that star and tune in to get your own information and insights. And of course, Jupiter is hanging out with Sirius most of this year. Venus will be there for a short amount of time. And so that amps it up. It's like the ancient alchemists knew, and it says 3:33 on my computer right now. So I'm just noticing like, okay, this is really important. The
Mm,
alchemists knew when planets were with certain stars, and Sirius was one of them, that it amplified their energy, and it was the time to do ceremony, to make amulets, to create potions, to make elixirs, to do I have a medicine wheel in my backyard with a aquamarine, and aquamarine is the stone that's most connected to Sirius. So I feel like it's channeling Sirius energy, right into my backyard.
mm,
Anyway, so there's different ways we can align ourselves with that energy, to through intention, through going out and seeing if you can see her. But if you can't see her, looking at where Jupiter and Venus are. If it's cloudy, just knowing they're there. But over several nights, hopefully will be clear at least one of them, and you can but just going outside, if it's cloudy, sitting and meditating or asking for a download, for an information, for a way of connecting with this that you can take it forward and enlivening your DNA that with the codes that are coming from Sirius that are being amplified by Jupiter and
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does feel important to say, like, for example, this experience that I'm having with these Syrian beings, right? It's my experience. Some of it might be a little more universal, and some of it might be very personal. And as I was saying also before we started recording, and I know you also teach in this way, but in the star course that I'm holding, I keep bringing up the analogy of our relationship with stars and with planets being similar to in Mary Poppins, the movie, when she poured
Perfect.
when she pours out the medicine for Jane and Michael, one comes out as like cherry royal or something, and then the other one comes cherry jubilee, whatever it is. One of them goes like Jane goes, "Ooh, cherry something," and then the other one, Michael's, comes out as blue something something. I can't remember, but it totally different colors, totally different flavors because they're perfect exactly what each of them needs, right? That's how I really feel about our relationship with these beings. These are ancient, millions and billions year old beings, these stars, and our Earth too, and the planets and our sun. Um, they can't possibly have only one truth to them, obviously, right? That would just that feels actually almost violating to assume that there's like only one possible truth that would come through for each of us, and that we are multi-layered, multi-infinite beings ourselves, right? So yeah, so it feels so good and so important to honor that each of these experiences that we have, if one of us sits and is with the sun, with Sirian light coming through the sun to us, we're going to have infinite possibilities that would arise, and they're all perfect. Like they're exactly right, you know.
And we don't necessarily have to share them, but if we embody them, then we're adding that to the sacred hoop of life. We're
Yes.
embodying that frequency, that energy, that understanding, that wisdom that is coming through. I mean, it might be that it is for something for you to share, but it might not be. So it's okay either way, because it's really for you personally and ultimately for the collective. Because if we think about the hoop, the sacred hoop or the circle of life, we all sit in a different place on the circle or the sacred hoop, and
Beautiful.
we have a different perspective. So what I see when I'm looking out into the circle is going to be different. Like if Martha's sitting across from me, what she sees is going to be what's behind me, and what I see is what's going to be behind her. And if we're speaking to that, then she gets to know what's behind her, and I get to know what's behind me.
I love it. Oh, wow, I've never thought of it like that. Mm,
Yeah, so it's important to that all the perspectives are valid, honored, valued, and that if we get a chance to share that, that we get a chance to share that.
yeah. And that we hold space for that, for ourselves, for each other. Right. Yeah, right. That we don't shut down even our own voice or our own whatever
Right.
reality.
And we don't necessarily subscribe to there's only one way or
Exactly.
only one perspective. This one's the true one. This one, maybe not so true.
Yeah.
Um,
May or
but
may not be true for us, but it's true. Right. Exactly.
right.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my
Beautiful.
gosh, this is so exciting.
Yes. I can share one thing that did come through the other day, just as another example of how I think we can be in relationship with this energy. This did feel more specific to me, but depending on whether my guides tell me to, I might channel something that is along these lines because it was extremely helpful for me. But so I think these kinds of things can come through for us in all kinds of ways. So over the last, I don't know, few weeks, there's been a lot of things going on in the world that are difficult, right? And things going on in my community that have been very tragic and difficult. So I've been noticing a lot of anxiety coming up in my heart, like physically in my heart, and often not even with a reason, just hard. It's been a little difficult sometimes for me to kind of release from this anxiety feeling in my heart. So the other day I was in my praying and I was feeling that, and I tuned in, and this is what I typically do. I'll tune in and I'll ask for whatever benevolent beings are feeling called to be present with me to come in. So I did, and very powerfully were these Sirian beings. Okay. So long story short, what they did was they it was like they there were these, what I felt was kind of like these codes, almost like chains of programming for anxiety in the back of my heart. And they came in and they kept saying, just break the chains of anxiety, break the chains of anxiety. And so they did. And it felt so good. It felt so relieving. And then I think this is also probably related to um, Jupiter and now Mercury being at that last degree of Gemini, about to enter Cancer. They said a crucial mantra to be having now is nourish the nervous system, right? And yeah. So, and I think especially also with Uranus about to enter Gemini, which can be a very, in an out of balance way, Uranus in Gemini, I think, could really intensify anxiety. Or not, I don't want to say intensify. I don't want to sound like it's going to cause anything. Okay. But I can imagine that being a very anxiety related energetic. And so I think it's actually so beautiful and perfect that we have Jupiter entering Cancer just as Uranus is about to enter Gemini, because Jupiter in Cancer to me, is such a soothing, has so much potential for the soothing of the nervous system and the nurturing of our being and our body and our emotional body. Um, and so what these beings were saying to me was, they have the ability to support us, or support me, but I think support any of us, to break the chains of anxiety, or, break down any kind of preconceived patterning we have that's not serving us anymore on this emotional body level or any body level. And then to also really hold space for our bodies and our nervous systems to get nurtured, to get even lubricated, you could say, to be navigating this time that can, for all kinds of reasons, feel so nerve-wracking, you know? Um,
And
yeah.
if it wasn't globally that there seems to be a lot of nerve-wracking things going on, even if it was just personally. Uh,
Hmm.
and I love what you're saying because Jupiter is about expanding the Cancer mysteries, and the Cancer mysteries are about how do we nurture
Yeah.
and care for ourselves, each other, and our planet. And so that's what we want to expand. How do we do that? How do we do that in ways that maybe we've never done before? How do we do that in ways that are more amazing and more healing and more transformative than ever we've ever experienced before? That's the opportunity that we have.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
what you're sharing is, I think that's a great mantra, nurturing our nervous system. How
Mhm.
are we nurturing ourselves? What can we do? What is one thing we could do every day that would help it? Doesn't have to be the same thing, but what is one thing we could do every day that helps to nurture us and feeling more nurtured?
Yeah.
Like, how do we nurture ourselves? Because then we can nurture each other in much better ways, and we do it from a place of not anxiety, but from just that place of love.
Yeah.
How love can be so nurturing.
And overflowing, abundant
Yes.
love from our, yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. Like a spring of love from our heart. Yeah. And I go back to that dolphin image, and yeah, them just jumping and playing because, just because, because they are.
Yeah, it's really fun to I live in the desert, but I have gone and swam with the dolphins and watched them do that and just their energy, they're just being with them. It's so uplifting. And I think they've even done studies with people who have like health issues and dolphins come and sing to them and they help heal their bodies. It's just so amazing what they can do and they're just loving beings.
Yeah.
They don't Yeah. They will protect if they need to.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just say two other real quick things that number one, since I had that experience with the breaking the chains of anxiety, nurture the nervous system, that whole thing, the anxiety just vanished. Like literally just vanished. It was like, thank you. So again, I think we all do this in our own different ways. Um, but I just open that up to anybody, if you're just ask for help. Literally just ask for help and you might be completely surprised by what shows up.
Yeah.
Um, and because they are right here. They really, they are right here. Um, and number two, yes, I live right by the ocean, and there are lots of dolphins right here. And so a couple weeks ago, I had this amazing conversation with David Clements, and later that same day, I went on a walk to the beach, and I see dolphins. I go on that walk, most days, but actively see dolphins probably every 3 or 4 months. Um, but every time I do, it's like, oh, it's not a coincidence, right? They're right there for some particular reason. And each time it feels a little different. So this time when I had just had that conversation with David that completely changed my life. If anybody hasn't seen this conversation, highly recommend it. He's amazing.
We can put the link in the show notes
Yeah.
and also the
Yeah.
link to the Sirius channeling that you did
Oh yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And David gets a lot of his he channels various beings, but especially Pleiadian energy, actually, interestingly. So anyway, when I went to the ocean and saw the dolphins this particular time, normally when I see them, it feels like they're celebrating with me or they're saying, good job, thank you for XYZ. This time it was a little different though. They were much more serene and it was a big group of them. But they were each kind of, and it reminds me of the sacred hoop, right? They were each kind of doing their own thing in this general kind of circle area, right off the shore, right off the shore. But this one dolphin in particular, was very close to shore, and he kept like catching the waves. Like literally he would come, I don't know if it's a him or her, whatever, but it would come and catch a wave, come straight toward the shore. And then I saw him turn around, go back and catch another wave. And it was just like, again, the pure joy of these beings, amazing. But the feeling I had in that moment with them was the sense from them of, yeah, don't forget, we're doing this with you. We're here, we're your friends. We're literally your friends. And there's not a need for us to make a big show about it or like throw, fireworks or anything, but just we're in this together. Like don't forget. It was
Yeah.
yeah, really,
Oh,
really
that's
special.
so, I love that so much. Makes me want to go back to the ocean and hang
Yeah,
with dolphins. Yeah.
absolutely.
But we can do that in our mind too. We don't, so if you don't have that opportunity, you can just, and maybe I'm guessing, I don't know because I haven't looked, but I'm guessing there might be YouTube videos of dolphins, about dolphins or of dolphins that you could do to connect with them if you don't have a way to have a more personal connection
Definitely.
this time. And yeah, I think that would be amazing because that their energy is so good. Yeah.
So special.
So anyway, did we cover everything we wanted to?
I know, I was just scanning my mind. Was it everything we wanted to say?
There's so much. We might have to come back and do another one at another time. But
Definitely.
but it's so fun, and we are in such a blessed time. We if just to recognize how blessed we are, and I love what you said, Martha, about it's like asking for love, guidance, support, and protection. I do that every day, most every day. Sometimes I forget, but asking for love, guidance, support, and protection. I think that is a very Cancerian thing because it's all about the love. It's all about, the if we're listening to the wisdom of those around us, so the love guidance, the wisdom, and the protection, if we're hanging in the right places, and I like to think too that there are the beings that are protecting us.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah,
these star beings and the dolphins and all, it's literally infinite benevolent beings
yes,
holding us. So,
And
I mean,
we can ask for that. I mean, ask and you shall receive. So just reminding you to ask for that because it is about getting supported right now. It is about feeling safe. It is about feeling accepted where we are, no matter where we are, how messy it is or whatever we're going through or how great it is, or it's like just being accepted in the moment for where we are and know that we have that love, guidance, support, and protection.
yeah. And I'm feeling called to bring in one last thing. We actually, Kaylin and I just recorded a different video a few days ago that's going to come out later this week, with the priestesses. You guys invited me to be a little guest
Oh, it's
speaker.
so fun.
Yeah. So, so look out for that video coming out soon. But so we touched on this topic a little more in there, but I just want to bring this in too because it's feeling significant. Is that at the time you and I finished the free summit we finished it on the day that March 30th, the day that Neptune entered Aries. And now, by this time, June, we now have had on May 24th, we had Saturn also enter Aries. And the Neptune and Aries are at that, I mean, sorry, Neptune and Saturn are at that very first couple of degrees of Aries, during the same time period that we're talking about, where, this June, July, August time period, when the Jupiter is going to be highlighting Sirius and all this. Okay. And Uranus is going to enter Gemini, all of these things we've just been discussing. And then Saturn goes back into Pisces, and then Neptune goes back into Pisces, and then it's early next year when they fully re-enter Aries. And it's also early next year when Jupiter will come back to be with Sirius. So that's actually really interesting timing, that there's something about this highlighted Sirian energy that feels like connected somehow to the Saturn Neptune being in the first degrees of Aries. Like, so I would love if there's anything that arises there for you.
Well, to think about Saturn and Neptune, of course, Neptune is the ocean. I like to think of Neptune as feminine. I also
Mm,
think of Saturn as feminine. So the
mhm.
goddesses are coming together to help create a new form for us
Yeah,
to dream into this new form. And for them to meet at 0 degrees Aries hasn't happened in thousands of years. Thousands of years. It's like they meet in Aries, but not at 0 degrees Aries. So
literally the first degree of the entire zodiac.
yes, yes, the alpha point, the beginning point. And so, and then this whole entire year is helping set us up for that. We're preparing ourselves for moving into that. So the we're just and Uranus, I mean Jupiter and Saturn square activating. So it's an activation of how we're expanding our vision and bringing it into form. And Neptune's also visionary, so Jupiter's squaring that, helping to expand even more vision. It's just we've never seen anything like this. It may be that I mean, I don't know, is this like a unique, rare moment in millions of years of Earth's history? I have no idea, but it feels like it's definitely a unique, rare moment in many lifetimes that we're experiencing. So, uh, so it, how fortunate we are that we get to be here to be witness to this and to help vision and intend and attend to what it is that's wanting to come through us because it doesn't the archetypal energies, the planetary energies, all of these energies are embodied through us. We are the embodiment of them. And so what we do and how we show up is important. It's significant. And even
Literally makes all
just,
the difference.
I will just say, I was having this experience again today, and I was just like, when I'm out on my morning walk and I say hi and I smile at people, and maybe sometimes I'll make a comment or something. When they smile back, I mean, me smiling at them lifts me up, but when they smile back at me, it lifts me up in such an amazing way. It's a simple thing we can do every day is just smile and say hi to somebody.
Yeah, for real. And that brings me to the Saturn entering Aries really strongly, and actually also Nessus with the North Node. But anyway, especially the Saturn in Aries. now feels like such a powerful invitation and request, even for us to take radical self-responsibility. And it actually also feels connected to that message I was getting with the Sirian energy saying that it's helping to bring time back together. It's like, how do I articulate that connection? But something about so we've been in this time of the illusion of separation, right? Where it's almost like I feel it as even time being separated. It's an illusion, but the sense of things being separate from each other. And now we're in the time of remembering, bringing it all back to the reality that we are wholeness itself, that never wasn't true, but now we're remembering that reality. And part of the remembering does feel like it has to be a choice. This is what we were talking about actually in the summit, right? Is that we need to like really have this opportunity, and I feel the spirit world almost begging us, please choose to remember yourself now. Like, let go of the victim, any sense of having been a victim, et cetera, et cetera. Just like, yes, we empathize. We have lots of compassion for all the suffering. Absolutely. That's not true. That's all true. And nobody can choose for you other than you to remember the reality that you are whole, that you are love, that this is what reality actually is. And then that's the only way you can be it fully, right? And put it into action. So that does feel like part of what's going on is these energies coming together, with this radical choosing to be it.
And Aries, once it commits to something, it will see it through. It will do
Mhm.
what it takes. It will take the inspired, decisive action necessary to make sure that happens. So you want to be sure you're choosing and committing to something that you really want to see come alive in your world and your reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's going to be a strong energy that's going to continue to propel you into that with all this Aries energy that's happening. So good.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah,
So
thank you
good.
for bringing that in, Martha. I think that's yeah, because and Jupiter, I mean at the solstice coming up on June 20th, Jupiter is square Saturn and Neptune pretty close. So that is going to be ignited by the fact that Saturn, our sun is on the exact cross. Jupiter's very close to the exact cross at the center of the sacred group of stars. And they're going to be activated by Saturn and Neptune as well. So
Yes. And then we have that new moon that comes, it's just a few days after the solstice,
June
right?
25th, yeah,
Yeah.
the Cancer new moon. And
With
it's
your
pretty powerful also.
very,
All that
yeah,
energy, yeah, all those energies are still rocking it.
exactly.
And it's a new moon, and it's close to the solstice,
Yeah.
and
And it's wearing the Saturn, Neptune
right.
in Aries and blah, blah, blah. It's like, wow, 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 wow.
I know. It's like if somebody was scripting a play and they were trying to script like the highest magic they could possibly imagine, it feels like that's what's being scripted for us right now. It's like high magic at the highest level possible. All we need to do is say yes
Mm, mm.
and
Yes.
choose it, as you said, choose it.
Choose it and ask for help too, both, right? Like take full radical responsibility and remember that we're not doing this alone. We're doing this all together.
Right. And
So,
in
yeah,
in the creative process, it's also taking action because we
yes,
can have the thought, we can say the words, so we can have the intention, speak into it, but then we also need to take action to bring it into this reality because it comes through us, as we were talking about earlier. It's like we're the embodiment of the mysteries, so we need to take the action that will help bring it into form.
yeah.
So yes,
Mhm.
beautiful. Love doing this with you, Martha. Be sure to check out the show notes for lots of links
Yes.
for anything you want to take a deeper dive on.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Yeah. And then keep an eye out for the Astro Priestesses video coming soon too.
Yeah, I might put that in the show notes too. I don't know if it's ready to go yet, but we'll get it there.
Yeah.
We'll make
It
sure
will
it's
be
there.
soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is
Thank
so good. Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching and being a part of this with us. Love everyone so, so much. This is a powerful, magical time.
Yeah, and please chime in with your thoughts, your feelings. I feel the dolphins like dancing with us here. And Sirius and Pleiades and all of it. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yeah, yeah, we'd love to hear. And give us your perspective on this from the sacred hoop.
exactly from your exactly. Please chime in because we're all sitting with that. Yes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
awesome. All right, bye everyone.